Have you ever felt trapped in a carousel of blame, spinning endlessly without a way off? Each time you replay the argument in your mind, the cycle repeats. They hurt me. It's their fault. But instead of moving forward, you're stuck, tangled in a web of frustration, anger, and helplessness. Blame might feel like justice in the moment, but it doesn't bring resolution. It brings stagnation. Imagine pointing fingers during a storm. Does it stop the rain? No. It leaves you drenched, cold, and waiting for a solution that may never come. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as the blame-defend loop. One person accuses, the other defends, and round it goes, fueled by resentment and misunderstandings. Both sides feel justified, but neither wins. And what's worse, the energy spent blaming someone else is energy stolen from your growth, healing, and happiness. Let's be real. Blame is an easy outlet for our pain. It's much simpler to point fingers than to face the deeper truth. Unresolved hurt often lies within us, not just in the actions of others. But don't worry, this isn't about guilt-tripping you. It's about empowering you to recognize that blame is a trap, one that keeps you locked in the very pain you want to escape. Take a moment and think about the last time you blamed someone. Did it make you feel better? Maybe briefly? But after that, the anger lingered, the frustration deepened, and the resolution felt further away. That's because blame doesn't fix anything. It delays the healing process. You might even feel like you're protecting yourself by assigning fault, but in reality, you're shielding yourself from the one thing that could truly help: growth. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover how to escape this vicious blame cycle. We'll break it down step by step so you can reclaim your peace, strengthen your relationships, and finally move forward. Ready to step off the carousel and regain control? Let's get started. Let's talk about why blame feels so good, yet leaves us feeling worse. In the heat of the moment, assigning fault gives us a sense of control. It's like shouting into a void that's been eating at us. They're the reason I'm hurt. That burst of blame feels like instant relief. But here's the catch. It's like scratching an itch. The more you scratch, the worse it gets. Blame tricks us into thinking we're fixing something. By pointing out someone else's flaws or mistakes, we feel justified. I'm the victim. They're the villain. But life isn't a movie, and real emotions don't fit neatly into roles. When we lean into blame, we aren't solving the issue. We're feeding resentment. And what happens to that resentment? It builds up, hardening into a wall between us and resolution. Here's another layer to this. Blaming others is often a way to avoid confronting our own vulnerabilities. Admitting hurt is uncomfortable. Facing the fact that someone's actions impacted us deeply, even harder. But when we blame, we deflect that discomfort. We put the emotional weight on someone else, thinking it'll lighten our own burden. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The more we blame, the more we surrender our power. You can't change someone else's behavior, but you can change how you respond to it. So ask yourself, what's more important, being right or being free? Think of blame as a fire. At first, it's warm and bright, making you feel alive. But feed it too much, and it consumes everything. It burns bridges, scorches trust, and leaves you isolated in a pile of ashes. And yet many of us hold on to it like a security blanket. Why? Because it feels safer than the alternative: vulnerability and self-reflection. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck in this pattern. Breaking free starts with recognizing blame for what it is: a temporary distraction from the real work of healing. And once you see that, you're one step closer to freedom. The fire metaphor transitions to an image of a fire being extinguished with water, replaced by a calm, peaceful scene of two hands shaking in reconciliation. Let's move forward. In the next minute, we'll explore the first practical step to breaking the blame cycle. It starts with shifting focus, not outward but inward. Stick with me, and I'll show you how. The first step in breaking the blame cycle may surprise you. It's not about the other person, it's about you. Instead of asking, "Why did they do this to me?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" This simple shift changes everything. It's so easy to get lost in the story we tell ourselves, that the other person is the cause of all our pain. But what if the real power lies not in how we're wronged, but in how we respond to it? By turning inward, you take back control. No longer are you the helpless victim in someone else's drama. You become the hero of your own story. Now, this doesn't mean you're letting anyone off the hook for their behavior. It's not about excusing hurtful actions or pretending everything is okay. It's about reclaiming your emotional power. When you focus on what you can learn from the situation, you shift from a mindset of blame to one of growth. Let me break this down. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Your first reaction might be anger. How rude! Why do people drive like that? And for a moment, that blame feels good. It releases the tension. But as the anger builds, it turns into stress. Your entire day becomes affected by a simple moment. But what if, instead of focusing on their bad driving, you ask, "What's going on inside me that made this so frustrating?" You might discover that you're stressed about something unrelated, and this small event triggered a deeper emotion. When you change your perspective from blaming others to reflecting on yourself, you free up emotional space. You stop letting external events control your inner peace. You start to understand that your reactions are not just about the other person. They are an opportunity to check in with your own needs, boundaries, and emotions. It's powerful because it puts the focus on what you can control, your response. In the process, you also start to heal. Instead of getting stuck in anger or frustration, you open the door to growth and self-awareness. The blame cycle is broken, not by fixing others, but by changing the way you see the situation and yourself. You're already one step ahead. In the next minute, we'll dive into the next important step: letting go of the emotional weight you're carrying, even when it feels so hard. You're already one step ahead. In the next minute, we'll dive into the next important step: letting go of the emotional weight you're carrying, even when it feels so hard. Stay with me. Now that you've shifted the focus inward, the next step is about letting go, shedding the emotional weight that has been keeping you stuck in the blame cycle. You see, every time you hold on to anger, guilt, or regret, you carry it with you, like a heavy backpack that gets heavier with each passing day. But here's the truth. You don't have to carry it anymore. Letting go is not easy, but it's necessary for you to move forward. We've all been there, clinging to past hurts, replaying arguments in our minds, holding on to grudges like a security blanket. The problem? Holding on to these emotions doesn't punish the person who wronged you. It punishes you. Each moment you stay angry or resentful, you're giving that person, whether they know it or not, control over your peace of mind. But what if you could take that control back? Think of it this way. Holding on to the past is like trying to walk forward while looking over your shoulder. Sure, you might catch glimpses of what's behind you, but you'll stumble, trip, and miss the beauty of what lies ahead. The emotional weight we carry from unresolved blame weighs us down, clouds our judgment, and keeps us stuck. Letting go doesn't mean you forget or forgive immediately. It means you release the grip that the past has on your present and future. When you allow yourself to feel your emotions, but choose not to let them control your actions, you begin to free yourself. You are no longer defined by the mistakes of others or the unresolved issues you carry. You are free to move forward. To do this, it can help to acknowledge the emotions you're carrying and give them permission to exist. Don't bury your feelings. Let them rise to the surface. Sit with them. But then, gently place them aside. It's not about denying the pain. It's about choosing to no longer let that pain rule your life. By letting go, you're not excusing anyone's behavior. You're simply choosing your peace over their actions, and in that choice, you take back your power. But what comes next? The final step in breaking free from the blame cycle is to move forward with renewed clarity and peace. Now that you've learned how to let go of emotional weight and stop the cycle of blame, it's time to move forward, stronger, clearer, and with a renewed sense of peace. The blame cycle has kept you in a state of emotional turbulence, but by choosing to let go, you've found the calm amidst the storm. Now let's channel that calm into forward momentum. The first key to moving forward is setting healthy emotional boundaries. This means understanding that not every situation or person deserves your emotional energy. When conflict arises, instead of defaulting to blame, you can approach it with clarity. Take a deep breath, center yourself, and respond thoughtfully instead of reactively. This shift from reactivity to responsiveness gives you the emotional freedom to choose your actions. You stop being swept up by the tide of anger and frustration. Instead, you become the one steering the ship. But how do you build that kind of response in the heat of the moment? It starts with awareness. The next time you feel yourself being pulled into the blame cycle, pause. Acknowledge your emotions, but ask yourself, what is the bigger picture here? What am I truly feeling and why? The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to stop blame before it starts and instead lean into understanding. By now, you've learned that breaking the blame cycle isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about understanding them, processing them, and making a conscious choice to not let them rule your actions. It's about being able to look at the situation, take a step back, and find your center amidst the storm. The beauty of this process is that it empowers you to handle conflict with a calm, collected mindset. When you let go of the blame, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters: healing, growth, and healthier communication. Moving forward, you'll find that your relationships deepen, your peace increases, and your confidence strengthens. You've done the hard work. Now, keep going. Every step you take away from blame brings you closer to a life of peace and freedom. Remember, breaking free from the blame cycle is a journey, but it's one worth taking. Don't just stop here. Continue to nurture your growth, and soon enough you'll find yourself not just surviving conflict, but thriving in it. If you found these steps helpful, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for more, and share this video with someone who could use a little peace in their life. Together, we can break free from blame and build healthier, happier futures. Thanks for watching.